Hello students. So today we'll continue the chapter crop production and management, and in this lecture we'll discuss different traditional tools and the manure and fertilizer. So as you know that for the soil preparation the fertilizers need to be mixed. So the manure and fertilizer, this process also we'll discuss in this lecture. Now first thing is the selection of the seeds. So first you know that whatever we are going to cultivate, what type of crop, first thing that is important, that is the weather, and also the another important point, that is the soil. So but weather and soil, we are selecting the seeds first, and according to the weather and soil we are just going to use those seeds. That's why the seeds needs to be very healthy and good quality of the seeds need to be taken. And new crops, whenever we are going to cultivate, the seeds are very important. We have to know a lot of things regarding the seeds, how much water quantity, how much nutrients they require, and what is the maturity time period. That is also we need to know. Okay. So good quality seeds can either be bought from different sources or farmers can produce by their own also. And this good quality seeds, it will give us what? It will give us high yield. It will give us high yield so that we can fulfill the demands of our population, right? Now, at the time of seed selection, first thing, whatever the problem we are discussing, that is the disease. There are several diseases may have in the seeds. So whenever we are choosing some seeds, at that time we should select that type of seed which is disease resistant and it is a healthy seeds. And germination period of the seeds also very important. As I have told you, the germination period and the maturity time, that is also important. The nutrients, how much nutrients is required, is it financially profitable or not, that need to be analyzed. Because whenever I am just taking one seed at the time of germination and at the time of maturity, if all the cost will be lost at that time, there will be no profit or there will be no economic value of that type of crop. So what to do with that crop? So that germination period of the seed, the nutrients, how much nutrients is required, what are the nutrients required, and other benefits in terms of yield and finance, that need to be analyzed before selecting a seed. So first thing that we need to select, before going to select a seed, we need to think about the disease that may be transmitted from this seed to another saplings also. So, and overall selecting a good quality seeds are essential for strong and healthy crop cultivation. Now the sowing the seeds. The sowing the seeds also very important part of the crop production, as this process is sowing that we have shown in this picture. This is the sowing of the seeds. Now, sowing should be carefully done and evenly done. That means in a particular area, if you have more seeds, and if another particular area you have less amount of seeds, at that time they should not, the saplings or the crops, they should not be in a very equidistant. So at that time, whenever we are this place will be overcrowded and other place will be not crowded. So if this place is overcrowded, then at that time, if it is overcrowded, at that time, maybe nutrition, whatever nutrient, that may be less for each seed, and at that time it may be there is not sufficient sunlight they are getting, not sufficient water they are getting, the congestion that may be there. So as this thing we should keep in our mind, that we have to do it evenly. We have to do it evenly. The seed sowing, that should be done evenly. And there are two different methods of sowing the seeds. That is traditional method. This person is doing the traditional method. So traditional method or sewing by hands. So previously what happened that with the hands they are sewing and the seeds they are taking in a curtain, and then after that they are sewing all these things. So this is the most common and generally practiced method by all the farmers. But now what happened, as the farming few their generations, they are going for other jobs also. So there are availability of the lack of manpower. Another thing is that if we just sewing this by hand, at that time it will take, if the crop field is very large, if the crop field is very large, at that time it will take a lot of time. So this is very simple process, but in which the seeds are scattered by hand, and the process is called broadcasting, which is the most economical method, and the seeds are sown either by hand or by using tools, and sowing of seeds by hand is called the broadcasting. And this is common, but a uniform distribution is not maintained here, because for any one person it is not possible that suppose uniformly throughout the field he or she will just throw all the seeds, right? So it is not maintained. That means whenever this will grow, at that time you can see that in one particular area there will be large amount of plants there, and another area a large amount of saplings there, and there are very small amount of saplings are there. So that means the distribution, that is not uniform, and if the distribution is not so much uniform, at that time one problem may arise. That is that the problem is that one problem may arise, that is the nutrition. The saplings, they are facing the problem of the lack of nutrition. So this is the disadvantage of the sowing with hands, this method. And obviously if the population is increasing so highly, as well as the according to the population the demand is also so high that it is not possible to feed all the peoples using this method. Okay, now using the drilling machine, what we are doing, there are seeds in here, and here you have a symmetrical part you have here. Now in this method, iron drills or the funnels you have filled with the seeds, and that are connected to the tractor, and as the plow moves, seeds are distributed into a furrow made by the plow and are covered. And this method is more advantageous, and evenly we can do it, and this is profitable in terms of labor and time, because less number of labor we require here and less time also we require here. Okay, so sowing by seed drilling machines, that is more advantageous. Now the quality of the seeds, this is a very important factor. As I have told you, always we have to select the good seed. By putting the seeds in water, we can check it. The dead and damaged seeds become hollow and float on water, whereas the good seeds sink. So the good seeds we can take out in this way. So in this way we can segregate the good seeds and the bad seeds by using only the water. Now the traditional tools. Here you can see a lot of traditional tools here, and most of the tools you have seen also. So before the modern agriculture process comes into picture, before that we have only these traditional tools in our hand. But at that time also we have the same process we are doing, but this is man-handled process. only the man-handled process. There will be no machinery. So 2 to 3 tubes having sharp ends that we have, and the ends will pierce into the soil and then place the seeds. So all these things we can have as a traditional tool. Now, seed drills we are using, as I have told you, using the tractor. We have different seeds here, and evenly the seed will be sown. Evenly the seed will be sown. Okay. Now the adding manure and fertilizers. Manure and fertilizers. So before going for cultivation, first the soil preparation is important. And soil preparation, first thing is important, that is the plowing. Second thing is important, that is leveling. Third thing is important, that is the manure or mixing the fertilizer. So manure and fertilizers, these are the substances which are added to the soil to increase their fertility. While manures are made by decomposition of organic substances, fertilizers is made of inorganic chemicals. Sometimes we are mixed up these two, but you should remember this thing. Manures are made by decomposition of organic substances and fertilizers is made by inorganic chemicals. Fertilizers are made by inorganic chemicals. Now, manure and fertilizers, when crops are grown one after the other, it decreases the productivity of the soil. That means same field I am using, and several times I have to cultivate in the same field. So same field I have. So the soil of the field, the quality of the soil of the field will degrade because the first phase of the crop that will get all the nutrients from the soil, so that the crops are grown one after another. It decreases the productivity of the soil, and this can be overcome by adding manures and fertilizers. We can avoid this thing. This increases the yield of the plants, also restores the productivity of the soil. Therefore, manures and fertilizers are paramount for efficient crop production. So that means whatever the nutrients are not available now after cultivation of one type of crop, now you can add the manure and fertilizers and you can boost up the nutrients whatever required in your soil for the growth of the crop. Okay. Now, what is manure? Manure is obtained from the decomposition of dead plants and animals. They essentially function as sustenance to the crops, and this helps in proper cultivation of the crop. Adding manures enables the soil to hold more water, and organic manures have acids that dissolves the nutrients with soil and make it available to the plant. So this is the manure. So manure, how we are getting the manure? By decomposition of dead plants and animals, we can get the manure, and this manure that will enable the soil to hold more water. More water means what? Your water percentage in the soil, that is okay. That means your soil is preferable for the cultivation. So now organic manures, those have the acids, and this acid will dissolve that dissolve the nutrients with the soil, and it helps also. So that make those nutrients available for the plant. Now this is the difference between manures and fertilizers. This is very, very important. Now, manure is obtained naturally by decomposition of dead plants and animals, whereas fertilizers are chemical substances not typically natural. Manure is not very rich in nutrients, but fertilizers, it has nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium. Manure slowly absorbed by the plants, and it is easily absorbed by the plants. Fertilizers, it provides a lot of humus to the soil, and it does not provide any humus to the soil. For the manure, they are prepared naturally in the field. What they are doing, whatever the plants and whatever the other things also, as I have told you, you can make the manure in your home also. Just take one place in your garden and you put all the whenever you are peeling off the vegetables or your fruits, and just you dump all those things in that a particular area of the garden, then you just cover it with the soil. So you can see that after decomposition, the soil will be more fertile. So the manure can be added there. Also, you can use natural manure like the waste of, that is the cow dung, waste of animal, that is the cow dung also. So manure, this does not improve the physical condition of the soil relatively, whereas the fertilizers, it improves the physical condition and it will be prepared in the factories. And manures, it does not have any adverse effect on the plant or soil, but fertilizers may have the adverse effect on the soil and the plant is supplied in large quantity. So fertilizer is not a good thing, but fertilizer we have to use because it has a huge amount of nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, so that we can use the fertilizer. But always remember one thing, fertilizers always we have to use in a particular quantity. Now the advantage of the manure. Manure increases the water holding capacity of the soil. It makes the soil porous and facilitates the exchange of gases. That is very important until unless the roots will be damaged. The texture of the soil improves. The number of microbes increases in the soil. The process of adding manures is known as manuring. Like here you can see wood wash, dolomitic lime, peat, bone meal, cow dung, green manure, poultry litter, compost. So these things we are using for the plant growth. And manuring should be done at regular interval, otherwise the plant becomes weak. Because always the plant, it is taking the nutrients from the soil. So always with a particular time interval, after a regular interval, we have to use the manure. And the use of manure has many drawbacks also. They can be rather difficult to transport and not nutrient specific. Though manure is not nutrient specific, but fertilizers, they are nutrient specific. Suppose you want in your soil phosphorus, you can buy it. You need more nitrogen, you can buy it. Okay, so organic fertilizers you can use it. Now the fertilizers, a fertilizer, that is the chemical substance that contains necessary nutrients, nitrogen, potassium, phosphorus, etc., etc. So many things you have. And the popular example of the fertilizers are urea, potash, ammonium sulfate. We are using this fertilizer. And the advantage of fertilizers are that they are quick in providing the plant nutrients and restoring the soil fertility. And they are portable and easy to transport. Plants easily absorb the fertilizer, and fertilizers improve and increase the productivity of many crops such as wheat, maize, rice. So this will improve the productivity also. And these are chemicals and have the potential to decrease the fertility of the soil. So that's why we are going for biofertilizer. Because we have faced a lot of problems, that is the fertility of the soil, that has been affected by using the fertilizers. So that's why we are going for the biofertilizer, or we can say rather organic fertilizers. Okay, like plant nutrients, organic matter, microorganisms, soil nutrients, this we are feeding to the soil. Now, what are the disadvantages of fertilizers? As I have told, excessive use of fertilizer can cause the pollution here, and also it changes the pH of the soil. In certain rare cases, leaving the land fallow, and when the land is left fallow for a certain period of time, the land replenishes the nutrients by itself. Okay. So there are several disadvantages of the fertilizers. So we are going to use the organic fertilizers. Still, some of the farmers have to use this because due to the cost. Because organic fertilizers still in our country it has a huge cost. So to maintain the cultivation, in a large scale, sometimes we are using most of the times we are using the fertilizer, chemical fertilizer. And crop rotation. This is another process to protect the soil also, and to protect the fertility of the soil. Now, crop rotation, it ensures that same crop will not grow continuously in a particular field. By growing the crops that require different set of nutrients, like first I am growing potato family, then I am growing peas, broad beans, French beans, then I am growing brassicas, then I am growing roots type of. So this rotation, if I will maintain at that time, the nutrients of the soil that will be maintained and soil fertility will be intact. So this crop rotation, if we maintain, then we can avoid the loss of fertility of the soil. Now the protecting from the weeds. Weeds are, what is weed? Actually, these are undesirable plants, and that will grow obviously in any field. And weeds also, those are growing in our garden also. Now weeds compete with the crops, and what they will do, they will take the nutrients and they will try to be very big, like the crop, like the cropland. So by absorbing all water, nutrients, space, light, they will be like this. But these are unwanted things like poison sumac, crabgrass, and dandelion, giant ragweed. So these are the unwanted plants. Now water is essential for irrigation, and 70% of human body consists of water, while plants need 90%. Plants need 90% of water. Okay, plants need 90% of water. So we have to be very much careful regarding the irrigation. Crops require the water for the growth and development, and the supplying of water to the crop, that is known as the irrigation. Now, what is irrigation? That is the process of applying the water to the crops. Here you can see the crops here, and there is some canal we have made where always there will be some water flow. And whenever these plants will require the water, they will just take the water from this canal. So nutrients may also be provided to the crops through the irrigation. Sometimes we are using the nutrients mixed up with this water. The various sources of water of irrigation are wells, ponds, lakes, canals, tube wells, dams, and sometimes we are taking from river also. Now irrigation that offers the moisture to maintain the moisture in the soil. So it maintain the moisture in soil, right? So this is very important. The frequency, the rate, the amount, and time of irrigation. What are the points you need to remember? The farmers need to remember. First one is the frequency, the rate, and amount, and also the time of irrigation. This need to be just a minute. Irrigation. So this frequency, rate, amount, time of irrigation, that are different for different crops, and we have to maintain this until unless we will not get good amount of crops. So summer crops require higher amount of water as compared to the winter crops. So if I am applying that much water to the winter crop, then you can see that the roots will be damaged, and you can see that the rotten roots are there and you cannot get the crop also. So there are different types of irrigation here, and different types of irrigation that we are using just to enhance the yield, crop yield, improvising the crop yield. And also these types of irrigation systems are practiced based on the different soils and climates and crops and resources. So in this figure, you can see that this is the furrow method, and this is the flooding method, standalone sprinkler, surface or drip irrigation, and manual watering method. So this is the most ancient method that we had used. We have used this one. Nowadays, the demand is so high that we are doing one thing. We are using the modern methods, and the furrow method and the surface or drip irrigation methods, sprinkling method, that are modern method. And here the water will be equal amount of water will be provided to all the saplings. So this is the method which is most economical, as well as there will be no wastage of the water, as well as all the plants will get the same amount of water. And in the surface or drip irrigation method, here you can see that there are so many pipes here, and in every pipe there is a hole, and with the help of this hole, the water will be poured to the sapling. So every sapling is getting a small amount of water. And in the standalone sprinkle system, what happens if the crop field is so large that it is not possible any human being to go throughout the field and to watering them, so it is not possible. Another thing, that drip irrigation is not possible because the cost of the pipe, that will be huge amount, because always whenever we are going for the irrigation, that time we have to keep our mind, that is the main thing, is the is it economical or not. So here you can see that there are so small pipes here, and it will just in circular motion, it will just moving, and by revolving this pipe you can get that sprinkle, the water will be sprinkled on all over the field. So this is most famous method. Now, so these are the different methods here. So surface or drip irrigation method, stand in the sprinkler method, and flooding method also here, as we know that after flooding it is not possible to irrigate, but that is not okay. After flooding also we can irrigate that thing. The surface irrigation, that is a process also. Here no irrigation pump is involved. Here water is distributed across the line by gravity. Here you can see that this pipe you have the water, and this will be held in the high land, and there is some pipes from this point, several equal distance point, and this point that will give the water to every section of the crop field. Okay, and the localized irrigation, here you can see that particularly this localized irrigation, that is particularly in this local where you are giving the water. So that is the apply to each plant through the network of pipes under the low pressure. Okay, so this is the localized irrigation method. Sprinkle irrigation. Here you can see that the water we are using here. So water is distributed from central location, from this location. This is the central location. This is the central location. So from this location, the water will be distributed from a central location by overhead high pressure sprinklers. These are high pressure sprinkles from moving platform. So this will move like this point. This will move like this, and they will just distribute the water in this way. This is called sprinkler irrigation. Sprinkler irrigation. So till now we have studied what? Surface irrigation. We have surface irrigation, localized irrigation, and also sprinkler irrigation. Okay, next, drip irrigation. So in this type, drop of waters are delivered near the roots of the plant, and this type of irrigation is rarely used as it requires high maintenance. This is the drip irrigation. So here you can see the drip irrigation. Now center pivot irrigation. In this, the water is distributed by a sprinkler system moving in a circular pattern. This is center pivot irrigation. So drip irrigation and center pivot irrigation. Okay. Now sub irrigation. Water is distributed through a system of pumping stations, gates, ditches, canals by raising the water table. Then manual irrigation. Obviously this man is doing the manual irrigation, you can see, and this is the sub irrigation that you can see. So the labor intensive and time consuming system this is possible only if the field is small enough. But for a very wide field, you cannot use this type of manual irrigation. Methods of irrigation, some traditional method, modern method. Traditional method, as you know that always the traditional method means the farmers, they pulls out the water from a well or canal by himself and using the cattle and carries to the farming fields. And this method can vary in different regions. The main advantage of this method is that it is cheap. Here you can see they are using chain pump, they are using pulley system, they are using lever system, all these systems they are using. Now, there is a drawback also. What is it? The farmer may give much more water sometimes, and so water loss also very high in this case. So traditional systems are pulley system, lever system, chain pump system. These are the traditional systems. So what are the traditional systems? The pulley system, the lever system, and the chain system. These are the different traditional systems. Okay. But among from all this pump system we are using widely. Now modern methods of irrigation. Surface irrigation, drip irrigation, surface irrigation, sprinkler irrigation. So the modern method of sprinkler irrigation, drip system irrigation, and sprinkler system already I have described. There is a pipe here and there is some notches here, and these notches will be revolving here and they will sprinkle. That means high pressure, the water will be come out and it will sprinkle throughout the field. So this is the sprinkler system. And in the drip system, water supply is down. Here you can see that this is the main pipe where drop by drop exactly, here you can see that drop by drop exactly at the roots using a hose or pipe, the water will be given. So this method can also be used in regions where water availability is less. Because in sprinkler system, in this previous system, we require huge water, right? Huge amount of water. So their availability of the water should be there. But there will be some places where some water scarcity is there. So at that time, drip system is more beneficial. Then traditional methods of irrigation are the oldest method, and some of these methods of irrigation are still we are following just to avoid the high cost. The traditional methods of irrigation that include the check basin method, furrow irrigation method, strip irrigation method, basin irrigation method. These are the different types of traditional methods we have. Now the check basin method, it is a method where of irrigation for leveled fields. The field is divided into basins, okay, according to the water capacity. and a small drain connects the basin. The basin size is as per the water inflow. Here you can see that they have cut it. Here you can see like small basin. This is another basin. This is another basin. This is another basin. Like that they are dividing this according to the water capacity. Then a small drain. Here you can see the drain. Small drain connects the basin. The basin size is as per the water inflow. The topmost place in the field is the main source of water. Okay. This method does not require any technique. It is rather inexpensive. It prevents the soil erosion as the rainwater stays in the basin. A large area can be efficiently irrigated by this system. Now the furrow irrigation. In this method, this is prominent in crop planted in rows. Dall is formed along the sides of the rows. Here you can see that along the sides of the rows, dall, that is means sprout, is formed along the sides of the rows and the water flows between two dalls. Here the water flow will be there. If the furrow is filled, there is no need to provide the water again. It is comparatively cheap but labor intensive. So this method we can use. Then strip irrigation. Here you can see the field. The fields are divided into strips of different sizes and the strips are constructed according to the slope. The structure of the land determines the size of the strips and this is the simplest irrigation method. Basin irrigation method. A raised platform is created. Here some raised platform has been created. And around the trees and bushes, they are then connected with drains. With drains they are connected. This method is useful for irrigation, trees and bushes, not suitable for crops. So a lot of water is wasted in this method. We are not using this method widely. So modern methods of irrigation, as we have already discussed a lot of modern methods, that is sprinkler system, drip system. Sprinkler system already I have discussed. So sprinkler system, we require a large amount of water and there is a loss of water may be there. There is a nozzle also, perpendicular pipelines are there and rotating the nozzles. So water from the tube wells is allowed to pass through these pipelines under the pressure and with a high pressure the nozzles, they will rotate and they will sprinkle the water. So sprinkler irrigation is required in areas where a change in temperature of the earth, environment, humidity is seen. Now advantage of sprinkler irrigation, it helps in conservation of soil. It increases the soil productivity. It protects the crops from extreme frost or temperature and fertilizers, insecticides, all these applications can be done by sprinkler system also. Physical condition and composition of the soil are maintained and it is very useful for sandy soil and uneven land. Drip irrigation, this method of irrigation is gaining the popularity in areas where you have the scarcity of water. As I have told you, in that sprinkler system, you require much more water and more water will be wasted. But here, drip irrigation, that means only drop by drop, I am just giving the water into the root. So this will require less amount of water. So less water requirement is there. Where you have the scarcity, you can use this. Now advantages, water reaches directly to the root. It saves a lot of water. Weeds do not grow because the water cannot reach to the other place. Crop yield is increased. The area near the plants is dry, so bacterial growth is not possible. It reduces the use of water in agriculture. Importance of irrigation. So now importance of irrigation, it can be explained. Insufficient and uncertain rainfall may be there. So irrigation we require just to avoid the avoid the crop production, just to avoid any damage in the crop production or any fall in the crop production. Droughts and famines are caused due to low rainfall. Irrigation helps to increase the productivity even in low rainfall. The productivity on irrigated land is higher as compared to the unirrigated land. The productivity is higher. So multiple cropping we can do. Irrigation has helped to bring most of the fallow land under cultivation. Irrigation has stabilized the output and yield level. Irrigation increases the availability of water supply, which in turn increases the income of the farmers. Irrigation should be optimum because even over irrigation can spoil the root or the crop production. It affects the crop production. Excess water also is not good for the crops. Thus, proper method is to be used for the cultivation. Now, crop protection and weeding. Now here, integrated weed management, IWM, is a long-term management approach to manage the weeds through certain techniques. Now, biological technique, physical, chemical, mechanical, cultural, so many practices are there. What are the weeds? Those are the unwanted plants in the crop fields which grow along with the main crop. So overall, this helps to improve the crop production, revenue, and environmental condition. Before managing the weeds, we should know the definition and impact of weeds in various components like environment, economic, and parts of the society. So this method using which we can just take out all the weeds, that is called weeding. Now they are strong and dominating competitors for the crop, and they are taking all the nutrients and all the whatever the water also, and they are going to be large enough. So at that time we have to omit all the unwanted plants. Now common examples, there's a grass. Everywhere this you have algae and amaranthus. So there are so many things. Now weeds compete for essential components required by the crops, and this will reduce the nutrients. Several times I have told you. So to avoid this thing, we have to take out the weeds. Now types of weeding. The types of weeding means the process to take out the weed from the field. So there may be hand pulling and cultivation, and this what they are doing, the farmers, they are doing it with their hand, and when they are just taking out all the weeds from the field. And pre-emergent herbicide. Pre-emergent herbicide, this prevent the growth of the weed. It is applied at the surface of the ground after planting the perennial or annual plant, and the plant should be in an active growth stage for effective result. And there also another thing, that is the mulches are spread on the garden or fields to restrict the access of the sun to the weed tree, thereby preventing the growth of the weeds. So weed management, this is also very, very important, because due to this weed, whatever the nutrients, manure, fertilizers you are giving, those will be taken out by the weeds. So this mulching also, that is possible. Mulching means a mulch is a layer of material applied to the surface of the soil. So here the mulch is a layer of material applied to the surface of the soil then it will used to improve the fertility of the soil, health of the soil. Here you can see that there is a tree here or plant, crop plant, and you have some mulches. You are covering this whole area with mulches. You are covering the whole area. So there will be no weed. So here It will protect the soil and it will just reduce the weed growth and enhancing the visual appeal of the area. So here I can write here, it will reduce the weed growth and enhances the visual appeal of the area. Okay. Next is crop protection through weeding. Right? We are protecting our crops through weeding, and this thing will continue in the next lecture. Till then, bye bye. Thank you.